Hey guys, just wanted to weigh in on something.
There's a phrase on the internet that's been overused to the point of completely losing its meaning, much like the phrases roasted and savage, which are often applied to the simplest of comebacks, or quality content, which can apparently be applied to people such as Matthew Santoro. But the phrase that I find to be the most overused is a YouTube-specific one, and you already know what it is because it's the title of this video. The cancer of YouTube. This has really started cropping up in the last few months or so, but the phrase seemed to pick up a lot of steam after H3H3 Productions called out Leafy is here, and called commentary channels cancerous. You may be expecting me to be offended by this comment, but H3H3 posted this well before I started making videos, so clearly he wasn't referring to me. And while that phrase has been thrown around at no small handful of people, including Leafy by several other people, Pyrocynical, and most recently and widely, Drama Alert and its host Keemstar. Some people might be about to go to the comments and say, but Zaptai, they meant all channels that report on drama, but if KSI has ever shouted anything even remotely intelligent, or intelligible for that matter, it was that
we all know you're talking about Drama Alert.
Keem's only real competition is John Scarce, the human planet, and I highly doubt Markiplier, PewDiePie, or Matthew Santoro have the slightest idea who John Scarce is. I realize that I'm running the risk of ripping off Grade A Under A here. A lot of you have probably seen Grade's video, The YouTubers Complaining About Drama Rant, parentheses, exposing Matthew Santoro. Holy shit, if that's not a clickbait title, I don't know what fucking is. In this video, Grade focuses on deconstructing some of the arguments made by this holy trinity, but he's focusing on their arguments rather than their wording. And he's also making fun of Mark's hair, which he dyed for charity.
Does this look like the hair of someone that you should take seriously? No, of course not!
But that's neither here nor there. If we want to get especially dweeby about the term the cancer of YouTube, we can break it down to the technical definition. Looking at the definitions of cancer and skipping the ones specific to medicine for obvious reasons, I found this one. A practice or phenomenon perceived to be evil or destructive and hard to contain or eradicate. That sounds pretty serious, and so far the things that this phrase has been used to criticize are commentary reaction channels and channels that may or may not perpetuate drama on YouTube. Drama on YouTube. I'm sorry, what? Cancer really seems like a term that you should save for the worst of the worst. Content or creators that are actually harmful to this website and or its users. For instance, I've previously covered two YouTubers who I would consider to be the cancer of YouTube, Lionmaker Studios and Red Kiwi. Now, Lionmaker's disgusting existence has been chronicled and criticized by all corners of the internet at this point, but Red Kiwi, as I stated in my video about him, has left his idiocy and creepiness behind him and has come out relatively unscathed. Channels such as these, particularly Kiwi, are incredibly harmful to YouTube as long as they remain active and popular, which both have. Lionmaker is able to keep searching for his victims should he so choose, which he has perhaps realized is wrong, but it's hard to tell with him, and your boy Dr. Kiwis will likely keep pretending to have mental illnesses in order to continue his essential research on what developing pairs of tits look like. Looping back to the names I mentioned earlier, I don't think Markiplier or PewDiePie represent what people call the cancer of YouTube in any way. While I don't like Markiplier's videos in the slightest, and PewDiePie has only recently started to win me over with a string of non-gaming videos,
these tires are fucking hard. These tires, Korean. The strongest Korean man.
Neither of them partake in any particularly scummy behavior, especially not Markiplier. While PewDiePie discussing how drama is problematic and then immediately roasting KSI was perhaps a bit hypocritical, it was also fucking hilarious, and that's what really matters here. But while these two are certainly not cancerous YouTubers, Matthew Santoro matches this description far more than Keemstar could ever try to. Yes, Keemstar is certainly toxic and unethical, but he isn't doing anything that someone else wouldn't do in his absence. And as legendary alcoholic beverage A Kind Ale War put it,
he ain't the cause, he's the consequence.
But Santoro is a serious problem because he's doing slightly better than the exact thing that countless people, including H3H3, have criticized Facebook for allowing. While this is perhaps not quite as cunty as stealing a video and re-uploading it to its entirety on Facebook, it's arguably even shittier to the creator. In fact, that recently happened in my good friend Zemo Nitrom's Dat Boy video, where several pages gained millions of views from re-uploading this legendary piece of work.
Here come that bullshit, what up? 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 Watch him rollin', watch him go. Watch him rollin', watch him go. Watch him rollin', watch him go. Watch him rollin', watch him go.
Now, since I both like and respect both Zemo and his work, make sure you go check out the original, which I'll leave a link to in the description, and definitely subscribe to his channel. His videos are fucking great. Back on track, plagiarism is widely considered a capital offense in the education world and the professional world as well. It gets people kicked out of universities permanently, constantly, gives them failures on papers, gets them fired from their jobs. Except for Matthew Santoro, apparently, who gets monthly earnings upwards of $30,000 on his main channel alone, and that's without adding the few extra thousand he gets from his vlog and gaming channels. That is just completely fucked in my mind. The people who deserve that money work for List First, the people who wrote the articles he gleefully ripped from. Santoro responded to this unearthing by condescendingly using emojis and hearts and essentially saying, "Fuck, my bad for getting caught, guys. Gonna fix this quick so my YouTube career doesn't go down the shitter." I mean, the egg in a bird's nest just took a screenshot of a fucking notes app on his iPhone or something. And then to try to clarify what he meant, he made a video, but all that did was show that there's some guy named Jimmy who's apparently been doing all of his work for him.
The videos that I make on my main channel, it's infotainment. It's heavily researched by my writer, Jimmy. We work together. We've been working together for over a year now.
Not entirely sure what he was going for here, but it did not work. You know what's cancerous to YouTube? Laziness. Okay, take that off the screen. I'd say I've probably dug into Matthew Santoro enough at this point, as of many others, but luckily he's not the only person there is to dig into. There's still the vape god himself, the source of approximately 20% of Papa John's income, and YouTube's weird uncle that you would love to hang out with but be thoroughly embarrassed to introduce a girl to, Ethan Klein, aka H3H3 Productions. Yes, technically his wife Hila is part of H3H3 as well, but let's just be honest with ourselves here. Exactly no one would watch H3H3 if it was just Hila.
Feeling that for sure. That being said, guys, now that we've got all of our ducks in a row,
More that Ethan has received quite a lot of criticism and hate for releasing his Leafy rant, fast trend center for obnoxious YouTube titles. A lot of people criticized Ethan for essentially blindsiding Leafy, as Ethan said,
me and Leafy are friends, you know? It's stupid, honestly, that we've all gone this long giving these channels a pass, who are cancerous.
I'm not going to criticize Ethan for calling Leafy cancerous, as I'd have trouble arguing with him, which I'll get into in a little bit. However, I think that his manner and timing of making this video was extremely, as he would put it, cancerous. At the time Ethan made the Leafy rant, Leafy had just made a video on Tommy NC 2010. The video has since been deleted, but there are re-uploads of it all over YouTube, and I'll include a link to one of them in the description. Tommy's a YouTuber who happens to have autism, a detail that Leafy was apparently unaware of. Leafy included a brief portion of a video where Tommy's channel name was shown, and as a result, Leafy's mentally disabled fanbase swarmed Tommy's comment section telling him to kill himself. The footage I'm showing now can adequately sum up the response to that. Within a few hours of Tommy's video of him crying, Ethan had put out the Leafy rant. And in honesty, I would have respected Ethan for this considerably more if he had done it out of the blue with no prerequisite mistake to base it off of. A decent handful of Ethan's arguments made in this video are valid. However, a few of them are either misinformed or downright manipulative. His focus on Leafy
Making fun of a kid, making fun of a kid, making fun of a kid, making fun of a kid.
is unquestionably manipulative, as just about every kid Leafy's ever made fun of in Ethan's examples has hundreds of thousands, if not millions of followers, and are very much in the public eye. Now, in Ethan's defense, there's the obvious argument that he's made a video on Maddie B raps, but the majority of that video actually involves Ethan having a crisis of faith and going to Jerusalem. So if you honestly think that's bullying, you're downright delusional, my nigga. And it's not like Maddie's some random kid on the internet. He's got 6 million subscribers, for fuck's sake. Also, he calls Mr. Black Darkness 666 a kid.
Making fun of a kid, making fun of a kid, making fun of a kid.
Which, okay, yeah, fair point, actually. He kind of looks like the former vocalist of a symphonic black metal cover band who quit because the rest of the group wasn't wearing enough makeup. My biggest problem with this video is that Ethan is contributing to what I consider one of the most cancerous, I can't keep saying that fucking word, things on YouTube. While it's technically a mixture of bandwagoning and dogpiling, I'll stick with bandwagoning for brevity. Ethan made this video within a day of Tommy's video coming out, after Leafy had already uploaded his video for that day. While Leafy had unquestionably fucked up, and being called out on it is the appropriate response, the fact that Ethan jumped on before Leafy even had a chance to respond or apologize is scummy as hell. There's no question that he did it for the money, as those 4 million views he accumulated for it no doubt surpassed his entirely unnecessary Patreon in terms of revenue. Having a Patreon when you're making tens of thousands a month from ad revenue is not exclusive to Ethan, but that's another topic for another video, maybe. Probably not. I think that Ethan and Leafy's friendship has blown tremendously out of proportion simply by Ethan using the word friends. They chatted from time to time, and Leafy, according to the DMs he published, which we'll talk about in a minute, was helping Ethan out with partnerships of some kind. If they weren't talking about partnerships, they were talking about how much they hated Pyrocynical. That doesn't sound like a friendship to me. That sounds like people who are acquaintances who just happen to hate the same person. So they knew each other, sure, but it doesn't really seem like they were best friends. With all that said, I don't see this whole incident as backstabbing like many do, but I do see it as lazy, insincere, and scummy as fuck. However, even with all that shit said, what Ethan did, in my opinion, is far less shitty than what Leafy did. I would discuss my opinion on Leafy's content here, but frankly, I wouldn't be able to make any new points, so we'll keep it simple and say that I find his videos to be absolutely abysmal. I realize that this may upset some of you, but grow the fuck up and learn how to accept a differing opinion, you spastic. That out of the way, Leafy's behavior throughout this situation was some of the most downright immature handling of criticism I think I've ever seen. Rather than actually moving to defend himself against Ethan's claims, he went on the attack using information that was shared privately and in confidence. You can read through Ethan and Leafy's hilariously unorganized DMs if you want to. I'll leave a link, but they can be summarized pretty quickly, as can his video responding to the situation. Leafy's response, the H3H3 Productions rant, came out 2 days after his apology about Tommy, who he claimed to not know was autistic.
And after that, a few people come to me and tell me that apparently he could actually be autistic, and at this point in time, I knew I fucked up.
I'm gonna show you every single point Leafy makes in this H3H3 rant.
Me and H3H3 Productions used to be friends. Don't give Pyro a platform to defend himself. The real Ethan is just as bad, if not worse, than any of the people that they've criticized on their channel.
He's also tried asking YouTubers to make Pyrocynical expose videos.
He fucking lies! He tweets out saying, "Why you straight lying, dog?" He fucking licks Pyrocynical's asshole, dude. But when I fuck up and there's some people that want my blood, what happens? What does he do? He jumps on the fucking hate wagon to get his guaranteed 2 million views.
Seems pretty straightforward, right? Well, take a look at the timestamp. Yep. It's one of the most boring videos I've ever seen, apart from every single video released by RiceGum.
I don't know if you guys heard it. This fucker just said, "I'll be drunk texting you." I did some research. This fool is 13. He'll be drunk texting. I didn't even text at the age of 13.
I've never heard someone unironically repeat the exact same argument as many times as Leafy did, unless they were in an argument with someone who was too busy rolling around in their own urine and screaming like a 4-year-old hyena to actually allow words to remain between their ears long enough to process before they depart. I like to imagine the audio of this video being recorded while Leafy's holding his microphone, pacing around his room, listening to Bring Me the Horizon, and clenching and unclenching his fists rapidly, and breathing heavily through his likely congested nose. Keemstar, in a very, very surprising move, gave Leafy shit for this on one of his streams, opining that Leafy had
broke the golden rule. He shared a private conversation. The golden rule of YouTube is this: anything said private stays private. Any Skype call you have, any private DMs, anything you say to another YouTuber, another entertainer in private stays private. And the minute that you release stuff that's private, well then, who the fuck's gonna trust you?
And god fucking damn it, this is the third time I've had to say this, but I have to agree with the rat. While I can't speak for Leafy as a person, this does not paint him in a good light at all. Considering that he posted every non-business DM that he and Ethan had exchanged, why would any other YouTubers trust the little twinkle dick? People he doesn't even know yet probably don't trust him now, or at least wouldn't trust him with any shit talking. Leafy took a bad situation and did what, on paper, should have made it so much worse. He hypocritically attacked Ethan for privately talking shit about Pyrocynical, but Leafy has done the exact same thing to the exact same person, even worse than Ethan in my opinion. I can openly admit that I've said my fair share of negative things about other YouTubers, and if those messages were leaked, I would likely look like an asshole. But that would not open me up to criticisms of being a bully, nor of being a hypocrite for being a dick to people publicly, as Ethan criticized Leafy for doing. It would open me up to criticisms of being a shitty person, and that would be fair, but messages exchanged in private should remain that way. Essentially, Leafy broke Ethan's trust because he felt betrayed, which is an extremely unreasonable reaction to a perfectly reasonable feeling. I admittedly don't think Ethan is the patron saint of YouTube as Leafy sarcastically describes him. In fact, I think Ethan is quite the manipulative bastard. But while Ethan's behavior was unquestionably both hypocritical and cancerous, Leafy's response to it was idiotic, pointless, vapid, and why not cancerous? Both of these guys in handling the situation became the very thing that they so adamantly condemned, along with Matthew Santoro, who had been the very thing he tried so hard to condemn from the start of his career. While I've criticized all these content creators pretty harshly, I don't feel as though these actions make them inherently bad content creators, but perhaps just less than stellar people. If I'm being honest, I absolutely love Ethan's videos, and I watch everyone he puts out, on his main channel anyway. And as I said earlier, I find Leafy's content to be just awful, but he's clearly doing something right and entertaining no small quantity of people while doing it. Santoro's videos are shit. I'm not going to give the egg any credit for his effort, because I like to learn from those who are more successful than me, and if Santoro has taught me anything, it's not to give credit for effort. So that's all he gets, they're just shit. I might have gone a little off mission there, but I feel like it was necessary. I realized I discussed beef that's several weeks past its shelf life, but the problem was not that the beef happened. It's that the people who are referring to others, be it individuals or type of content as a whole, as the cancer of YouTube are doing far more harm to the integrity of the community, or in other words, performing a practice or phenomenon perceived to be evil or destructive and hard to contain or eradicate, than most of the people they criticize simply through their behavior. But there is a silver lining for all of these men. While they may all be cancerous in their own ways, they can't hold a candle to RiceGum's Twitter page. God damn it. The hiccup is there. There it is. Fuck yeah, bitch.